Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and today I'm going to work on what they call the gantry part of the plasma cutter table. At least I think it's called the gantry. I'm not really good on the terminology, so if I call something the wrong name, maybe y'all put it in the comments and straighten me out. Alright? This week we got a Bubba joke courtesy of Kurt Cook. Who else? I don't know how I got lucky enough to have a viewer that would supply me with Bubba jokes, but I'm really tickled with that. And at the end of this gantry work, I'll fix my shop vac. I have to machine a little part for that. So you're sort of getting a double hitter here. And later on in the week, I'm going to have a review on a nice little light that I got sent, and I really like it. So I think you guys might like it too. Anyway, today it's just work on the gantry part of the plasma cutter, and I ordered some of that tooth timing belt stuff. I got the wrong size. I should have ordered XL, and I ordered G2 or GT2, whatever. That was way too small. So this morning I ordered some of the right stuff. It'll be here when it gets here, but that'll give me time to build brackets to mount the motor and brackets for the idler wheels for the thing. So we'll see what we see when we see it, huh? I was watching Leto's Law this morning, and he was talking about his job as a paper boy when he was younger, and that's something I never did. Excuse me. When I was a young guy, actually I started out at about 14 years old stacking baskets in the Weingarten's grocery store. Now I think that's probably a year or two younger than the law allows, but I might have misled people or something there. You know, you can't tell. Anyway, that was my first job, and it paid a heck of a lot better than a paper route. Although I really got sick of grocery baskets, that's for sure. And my next job after that was a service station, but you guys already know about that. Alright, that's that. Let's get on with the video. When I decided I needed a drag chain for the plasma cutter table, because after all you're going to have the motor and everything wandering around. So this was the standard size drag chain for this Creality CR10 printer. So I blew it up to 200%, and that's the size it got to be. But that was just a little bit too big. So I went to 150%. So you can see there, standard size 150, 200. So once I had the size determined, I laid out a printer layout there at 15 chain links, run them all at one time, and looks kind of like Space Invaders, doesn't it, in the old Atari game? Oh well, I don't have a fire button, so I guess they'll have to just keep on coming down. I used various things to stand off the wheels on the first time around the experiment here. As you can see, I've got a little tubing and a couple of nuts, and I decided I'm going to make them all just like that so they're uniform, and you know, that should help the quality of the job. Alright, so the strategy here is to make two at a time. So I drill in 1.3 inches. Each of these pieces is a ½ inch long that I'm going to cut out, but I lose 2/10 of an inch from each cut that I do with the parting tool. The parting tool is 100 thousandths thick. So, you know, that's why the 1.3 gets me 2 ½ inches with a tiny little bit left over on the end. And I'm not worrying about the finish on the outside. Maybe I should, but I'm not. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set it up here with a dial indicator so that I can know how far that everything is. Alright, there's the setup on the indicator. think that should give me the best results out of whatever you could find. I'm not sure if you guys can see this on screen or not. But anyway, there's the indicator, and I have it up against this magnet here so that it'll have something to touch against. Unlike these guys with a totally square blocky built lathes, this one is not so easy to find a flat surface. So that's the deal. Alright, so I'll back this up and then I'll go in 6 turns on the indicator. That'll give me a 500,000th actual cutoff spot. Okay, and this usually comes out, strangely enough, 5 or 10 thousandths long, so there's nothing wrong with that. Cut off a little quicker than I intended. But anyway, I'm going to do this 3 more times, then I'll have all the standoff pieces I need. Alright, so I finished all the little brass standoffs, and they're not going to go on this piece here. This is an extra piece, but as you can see, they're all pretty much on there the way they belong. That moves pretty nice. So when I get these installed on the right piece, everything will be a lot better. These 2 holes in the middle, these are where I'm going to hook on the latches that'll latch down on the drive belt. I decided to use belts instead of screws or gears or anything else, you know. There's not going to be any really fancy stuff. Don't throw out the bandsaw just yet. Sometimes you want to make a real thin cut on a tiny piece, and that's what you got to do. To get a grip on it, I had to put a couple of support pieces in the jaws and put a nut on a bolt in the back to kind of bring the jaws straight with a piece uncut. But it looks like it's going to work out just right. Well, I took the small piece that I cut off on the bandsaw and I made it into 2 pieces, and these are going to be the belt clamps that will go on the X or Y dimension. I don't know which one you're going to call it, but that's what they'll be. I'm going to put 2 holes on this side, 1/4 and then I'll roll it over and put a number 10 hole on the other side. The other side will be the one that hooks onto the belt. This will be the one that hooks onto the frame for the wheels. So all I got to do is thread this little booger and roll it up. Well, I'll make the other one. I'll go ahead and machine this one also, and then I'll roll them over for the number 10s. And basically what's going to happen here is I'll disengage the motor from the feed and turn the tap by hand a little bit till I've got it started straight, and then I'll put my tap wrench on it. And I probably won't show much or any of that. We'll see. Alright, so this guy got a double mess up. The holes were too close together and I broke a tap off in there. So this one's only got a single mess up. The holes are too close together. I can make up for that by elongating the holes. This one's just right. So after making 3 pieces to get 2, now all I've got to do is put a hole on this side for the clamp for the belt. So we'll get on with that. Alright, this is how these little guys are going to look. This will bolt on to the side of the wheel support, wheel bracket. The belt, both ends of it will go through here, both sides at the same time and simultaneously. Right there. bolts are clamped down on. Hopefully that'll work out okay. Hopefully I can pull both sides about right. I'll put a tensioner maybe in the idler pulley. That'd probably work even better. But that much is done. We're getting closer to actually having to order the belt, which I ordered here the other day and got the wrong one. So got to do it over again. One of my viewers emailed me and said if I were to turn the brackets around and hang them the other way, I could get more usable space on the work table there. And really I hadn't worried much about how much usable space I had. Any space at all, you know, above a foot in every direction would probably be good enough. But I got to thinking about putting the belt on there that's going to pull the carriage along, you know, and thought, yeah, probably I should turn them around. Now if you'll notice, these guys, they're well on the metal, holding on good and tight. And these guys over here, they're hanging off the side because the hole in that little bracket's not dead center, you know. So I drilled the holes to fit the bracket. Now it's backwards, things are really hanging off, and I'm not, it leaves me a little bit uncertain about it, but I'm going to go ahead and fasten it down like that and see how it works out. Now I went through a lot of work the other direction with a board and a hammer and a square, making sure they were all 90 degrees, and moving it over this way, it looks like suddenly I've got the rail leaning out, you know. So I may have to go through all that shaping all over again. It's a heck of a note, but some things you just got to do, you know. So away we go with more work. That is $18 worth of screws from Redneck Supply. Alright, from this point there will be a lot of adjusting and leveling and fitting up, but you can see, I guess they call this the gantry. It's ready to move around. Now what I'll do is I'll hook the belt onto each side of this little booger, and we'll be in business. I'm not sure if I should have hooked it on before I put it on there or not, but I think I should have put the little belt attachments on there first before I did anything, but what the hey. Nevertheless, it's starting to look like something, and in another month it ought to be something, maybe another 2 months. You got to make sure I get everything just right before I get too carried away, though. I know it's hard for you guys to believe, but sometimes, you know, now and then I tend to screw up a little bit. And this is one of those times. This thing here, this is supposed to clamp the belt that's going to pull the gantry back and forth by running the belt through there and tightening down, which makes perfect sense, except I made this to go on the side of the gantry like that. I want it to clamp on top up here, not on the side. I mean, I'd have to twist the belt to put it in here. Why I didn't manage to turn that over in my mind, turn it around, I don't know. After having made 3 of these because of breaking a tap in one, they're totally useless. I've got to do it all over again. So, yippee. Here we go. You see all those piles of chips and swarf and such. The reason that's there is the other day the hose on my vacuum cleaner broke out on the end, and I lost the crevice tool. So I went and bought a new hose, but the crevice tool doesn't fit on the new hose. So in a little bit I might stop doing all this other stuff and go over there and make me a little fitting so that my old crevice tool will fit my new hose. Then I can start cleaning up again. Okay, so I made 2 more blocks using aluminum this time, or aluminum, depending on where you're at. And they're painted, hanging up to dry. So it's time for me to fix my vacuum cleaner nozzle, my shop vac, so I can start being clean again. I know, heck, no blame being sort of dirty on inanimate objects, huh? One of my viewers, who's also a member of my shooting club, gave me a bunch of these Delrin cutoffs a while back. And what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to make this piece right here. I'm going to let the outside be a little bigger if it wants to. I don't care about that. But the hole in the middle, I'm going to make the same as this one right here. And hopefully it'll work really good. And then I'll machine the other end. It's got to be a different size also. So we're going to take this big old bit and try to push a hole in there. It might work. We'll see. Look at that. Ease its way in. Good sharp drill bit. I think I got this when Redneck Supply stopped carrying larger, better tools. They went through a change there for a while and then they sold out. And so it'll go right on through to the end. My goal was 1 3/4 inches, and this should be 1 3/4 inches. Let's see what it looks like. It's going to go. So I'll continue to cut. This little guy is tapered down and out, so he'll slide on about that far and stop, which is good, because I don't have a really deep hole here in the first place. This thing here has got a sort of a barb on the end to hold on to whatever you push it up into there. And it wouldn't be an easy thing to turn loose. I could saw it off or rub it off with a belt grinder. So at this point I have to decide, do I want this thing to just slip up inside of here, or this to slip up inside of it? Be less restrictive if this goes on the inside of that guy, but then this guy will be ruined from probably if I ever get the exact right hose again. I don't know. I'll think on it a couple of minutes and we'll see what we come out with. Alright, that slid in with quite a bit of resistance, so I think that's probably as close to the right size as I want to be. I thought it was going to be 1.5 inches, but 1.5 inches was just too small a hole. Wouldn't go in. So I'll clean up the inside where the right pieces are tapered in the right direction and stuff, and then I'll be through with this. Okay, so there you are. It's finished. New piece is hooked in. Everything's really jammed up nice and tight, so I think it's all done. On to whatever else. Well, it seems like Bubba decided to have a yard sale, and we wasn't selling yards, he was selling junk from his house. But anyway, he had a lawnmower there, and this preacher come along and bought it from him, took it home, and he got it home. He's pulling on the rope, and that lawnmower wouldn't start for nothing, So he decided he'd just go ahead and take it back to Bubba and complain about it. So he took it back over to Bubba's house, and he told him, Bubba, he says, this here lawnmower is not any good. He said, it won't start. And Bubba said, oh yeah. He said, it'll start all right. He said, you just got to swear at it. Preacher said, well, he says, in my occupation, there's no call for swearing. He says, I hadn't done that in so long, I probably don't even remember how. Bubba says, well, he says, I'll tell you what, he says, you pull on that rope long enough and it'll come back to you. Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.